So lighters are typically kept up here, and I always like to grab at least two to make sure that if one's working over here, but then see how it takes a little bit to turn on. Sometimes they struggle a little bit to actually light up. So I always like having two rather than having to come back over and grab an extra one. And I always grab my sternos and have them already placed out there. And to check the sternos, you always want to make sure they should always be refilled after every single event that they've been used and put upside down, just like other displayed in here. And to check them to make sure that I always double check, make sure that they have been filled, because if it runs off during half of the wedding and it's not on, then it's not going to keep the food warm. So the sterno keeps the water in between the food pan warm, and that steam is what makes everything in there actually stay nice and warm to be able to serve to the guests. So as you can see right here, it's a little bit under the line that it should be. It should be on that very top line. It should be right in between the red and the green, actually filled up all the way. So this one's not filled all the way through, so that one needs a little bit more. So that one's perfect right there. So I'm gonna grab two, one for the rice and one for, that one's not filled out all the way either. I'm gonna grab two, one for the rice and one for the gumbo pan. And there they are, and two lighters. So on this table, I already have my hot water. I have my sterno that I'm turning. And I always like turning it about halfway, right before you get to max. Halfway in between where it's supposed to be turned on and all the way to max. Some of these are a little bit different, as you can see. One says minimum and max, and the other one has little lines directing which way. And I always like to be at least around the little minimum, never all the way to the hot because it makes the food dry. So I turn that on. See, it turns on. It has the blue flame coming out. I stick it underneath the pan, and I immediately put the hot water in. And I always like putting about that much water in, and sometimes it leans a little bit. So you always want to make sure that if it leans all the way on the side, it at least is covered all the way on the other side too as well. And I'm going to add a little bit more just because it is leaning kind of forward, and the back doesn't have as much water. So that's more than plenty in the shaken dish pan. You don't want to do less than that because there's not going to be enough steam to keep the food warm. And then doing it for the next one, you do the same thing, all the way to minimum. And you can do it a little bit past, but I would never go further than that. And if you wait too long to put the water in there, this pan will get extremely hot, and by the time that you add the water into it, it's going to make, did you hear that? Like a steaming sound. If you wait longer than that, then it will create smoke and it makes this burnt smell. So, if you want to get a close-up of how much water I actually put in there as well. So do you see the steam actually coming out? This is what is keeping the water and the food warm. The sterno keeps the water warm, the food, the steam in the water keeps the food warm.